Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. And in this episode, I'm going to be completely open with you as I share the statistics that YouTube give me for the channel. Okay, so I'm going to show you the facts, the figures that I look at every week as I prepare these episodes. Because, of course, naturally, I want this to get out to as many people as possible and I want you to enjoy it. So I thought, as I was going through it this week, it gave me the idea, how much do statistics matter? We live in a world where facts, figures, analytics, percentages are everywhere, particularly with the rise of artificial intelligence. Everything we do, we seem to get a report for, don't we? There's always statistics. And I think we live in a world which is a little bit obsessed with that. Of course, there's a time and a place, where figures are good. The analytics really benefits us. It's a good thing to have all of that detail. But I also think sometimes it can be quite detrimental. And that's one thing I've noticed, particularly when, preparing the episodes for this podcast. Sometimes I obsess so much over the facts and figures that it just takes the joy out of it a little bit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start off by sharing it all with you. I'm going to show you where you mostly listen from or watch from on YouTube, whether you're mostly male or female, the age brackets where most of the viewers and listeners for the podcast are from. Do you watch with or without subtitles? What do you watch it on? Mobile phone, computer, tablet, TV. We're going to look at how many of you are regular subscribers that watch every week and how many of you are new viewers and all of that. I just thought, firstly, it would just be interesting for you to know, particularly if you are a regular viewer, who are the majority of you? So that's what we're going to go through today. And then we're going to read a really interesting article on statistics and whether they truly matter. In what areas of life do they matter? And in what areas of life can we just put them on the back shelf a little bit? And of course, as we go through, we're going to explain sort of the vocabulary, and we've got some fantastic expressions. So if you are new here and you do want to just listen, practice and improve your natural, real and authentic English, then this episode, in fact, this podcast, hopefully is perfect for you. Hopefully it fills that need. So before we get into it, as many of you know, I do encourage you to relax, to get comfortable. If you are listening to this on public transport, which I know quite a lot of you do, you listen to it on your way to work. If you're not driving, get comfortable on the train. Get relaxed on the bus. If you're waiting, maybe go grab yourself a little coffee. Treat yourself if you can. If you're watching this when it comes out on a Sunday morning, get a blanket, have a fry up. Let's just relax, chill out, and enjoy the English podcast. Enjoy the English podcast? That doesn't work. Enjoy the English language together. That's a great little insight to the fact that these episodes are not scripted. I make mistakes. English isn't perfect for anyone. So hopefully, if you are new here, you kind of get that idea that although we have topics we're going to talk about, I really want to present the English language to you in a relaxed, natural and authentic way, which involves mistakes. And to be quite honest, it helps me with editing because I don't have to edit them all out. If I just market it, the fact that this is just real authentic English, which it is, it also helps me edit and takes a lot of the time away. Little bit of honesty there. That's the truth of it. Okay. Do you want some statistics? Here we go. So watch along. Where do you listen from? So, interestingly, the majority of you are listening from the United Kingdom. 12.7% in the last 28 days are living, are watching, are consuming the GSL English podcast from the United Kingdom. I thought that was quite interesting. And then next down the list with 3.7% of you listening from India, 3.4 listening from Spain, 3.1 listening from Brazil, and 3% listening from Poland. So if you are from any of those countries, let me know in the comments, which one are you from? Actually, that's a great idea. After we've been through all of these statistics, actually, that might be a little bit dangerous. I don't want you to give all of your details out on the internet. Well, just let me know some information connecting to these statistics in the comments. So where are you from? I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean. If you want to share any information in the comments, just go for it. So I thought that's just an interesting statistic in itself and something that I'm quite proud of. Got United Kingdom, India, Spain, Brazil, Poland. That's like a trip around the world. And that list just goes on and on. So isn't it kind of a cool thing what YouTube allows us to do? You got me, this random English teacher from London that doesn't really know what he's doing, just winging it in his stupid little office in his house, putting a podcast out to people around the world. I don't know. I think sometimes we just take that for granted. It's a pretty cool thing, that opportunity that we all have. So, according to the statistics, most of you are male. 58.6% of you are male and 41.4% of you are female. But I think this is an interesting one because according to YouTube, most of the accounts that are made, which we log into when we watch YouTube, are male. So it might mean that there's more females watching the podcast from a family member's account that is a male. I don't know. But according to this, the majority of you are male, but it's almost 50-50, which I thought was quite an interesting statistics. Now, what about age? What is the age group that most listens to the podcast? Here we go. I thought this one was interesting. 13 to 17 years old, 2.7%. So that's not a large demographic of the podcast. Young ones don't enjoy this, and that's okay. 18 to 24 years old, 16.4%. I'm down with the youth. Thank you. If you're a young one that's consuming the podcast, cheers. 25 to 34. Now, this is the key bracket. If we've got any 25 to 34-year-olds out there, you love this podcast, apparently. 35% of you. So if you're in that bracket, you are 35% of the age group that watches this podcast. Then it goes down a little bit. 35 to 44 years old, 22.7%. So I'm in that. I'm 35. Keep saying I'm 36. That's not till June. I'm 36. So yeah, 35 to 44, 22.7%. 45 to 54, 12.4%. 55 to 64, 7.2%. And above 65, 3.6%. I think that's an amazing statistic. How cool is it that we've got from 13 to over 65 enjoying the English language and wanting to practice and improve? Doesn't that just show that you're never too young, you're never too old to learn? We can always improve in some way. What about subtitles? Do you guys like to watch this podcast with subtitles? Well, the statistics say majority of you do not. Very well done. So 77.6% of you do not watch the podcast with subtitles. Now, there's nothing wrong if you do watch this with subtitles at all. It's a great way of learning. If you do watch it with subtitles, I encourage English subtitles, which 16.7% of you do. A great little tip here for improving your English: watch the episode once with subtitles on, then the next day watch it again without. Just a great process for practicing and improving. And also, just a little note here. If you sometimes find the podcast a little bit hard to understand, if you are watching on YouTube, and I think you can do this on Spotify, I'm not too sure, slow it down. I don't want you to stress out. I don't want you to think, I'm missing what he's saying. Slow it down one time, and then again the next day, watch it at regular speed. Interesting. Arabic subtitles, 0.2%. German subtitles, 0.1%. Portuguese subtitles, 0.1%. What do you mostly watch it on? Mobile phones. I think that's the case, isn't it? 69.6% of you watch it on a mobile phone. 19.1% of you watch it on a computer. 5.7% of you watch it on a tablet. And 5.7% watch it on a TV. I think mostly what I watch YouTube on is a TV. So it's interesting. A lot of you watch it on a mobile phone. Maybe that's because you do it as you commute or you're out and about. Watch behavior. New viewers for every episode is 60%. Casual viewers is 28.6%. And regular viewers, 11.4%. Now, I don't know what that analytic means, but surely I would want more regular viewers. I don't know. So maybe I'm doing something wrong there. But that's the truth of it. I'm being completely honest with you. Get a lot of new viewers, not as much regular viewers. So I do massively appreciate it. If you are a regular viewer, you're part of that 11.4%. Cheers. I know that. This is why I said I'm being open and honest with you. I know that's not a great statistic, but it's the truth of it. Watch time from subscribers. Now, with YouTube, watch time is everything. Your content gets pushed out and put out more if the watch time is up. If people watch the whole episode or watch it for a long period of time, that's what really helps with the algorithm. So watch time from subscribers, mostly from not subscribed at 54.6%, and then subscribed is 45.5%. So interesting statistics there. So what I do is, as I go through these, I try to look through them and then see how can I use them to create a podcast which you guys are going to enjoy. That's the idea. So as I go through them, I try to look at them and see what can I do to fit the demographic that enjoys this podcast. But the question is, does it really matter? Are statistics that important? Because would you agree that we live in a world, as I said earlier, where statistics are just everywhere. Everything is about numbers. I think social media has had a massive part to play in this, with likes, with views. Everything is about how many of this, how much of that, blah, blah, blah. When do statistics really matter? And when should we just ignore them? So what we're going to do is we're going to read a really interesting article. I'm going to read it in its entirety first. Okay, so just listen, read along with me, and just try and get the idea, the gist of the podcast. Then after that, we're going to break it down, read one paragraph, and then talk about it and go through some of the vocabulary that's explained. Okay, so we're really just going to relax with this. We're just going to unwind. We're not going to rush through it. All right, so really just enjoy it. Don't worry if you don't get everything. Just chill out. And yeah, I hope you find this as interesting as I did. So here we go. When do statistics really matter? And when should we ignore them? We live in a world where statistics are everywhere. From news headlines to fitness apps, numbers constantly tell us how we are doing, what we should fear, and even how we compare to others. At first glance, this seems helpful. Numbers feel precise and objective, giving us the impression that they reflect reality. But as humans, we do not experience life through numbers. We experience it through emotions, stories, and personal meaning. In certain situations, statistics are essential when making decisions about health, money, or safety, reliable data can guide us toward better outcomes. For instance, understanding the success rate of a medical treatment or the risks involved in a financial investment allows us to make informed choices. In these cases, statistics acts as a tool to reduce uncertainty and help us see beyond our limited personal experience. However, statistics become less useful when they replace human judgment entirely. As individuals, we are not averages, we are unique. A statistic might say that most people succeed in a certain way or follow a particular path, but that does not mean it is right for you. When we rely too heavily on numbers, we risk ignoring our instincts, values, and personal circumstances. Another problem is that statistics can easily be misleading. A number may be technically true, but still create a false impression. Without context, percentages and comparisons can exaggerate risks or make something seem more significant than it really is. As a result, people may feel anxious, confident, or even afraid based on information that is incomplete or poorly explained. This is particularly visible in everyday life. Social media encourages us to measure our worth through numbers, followers, likes, views. But these statistics often fail to capture what truly matters: connection, growth, and authenticity. A person with fewer followers may have a deeper impact, while someone with impressive numbers may feel disconnected or unfulfilled. In this sense, statistics can distort our perception of success. Ultimately, statistics should serve us, not control us. They are powerful tools for understanding the world, but they cannot define what matters in our lives. As humans, we need both logic and intuition. By combining data with personal reflection, we can make decisions that are not only rational, but also meaningful. In the end, the challenge is not to reject statistics, but to use them wisely. So there you go. That's the article. If you want to listen to that again, just go back now, listen to it. If you want to just practice reading out loud, you can shadow with me. But what we're going to do now is we're going to break that down paragraph by paragraph. So here we go. It started off by just saying this: we live in a world where statistics are everywhere. That's true, isn't it? Statistics are absolutely everywhere. We can't deny that. When we look at news headlines, fitness apps, they're constantly telling us how we are doing. And that's true, isn't it? Even on your phone, it is counting your steps without you knowing. Numbers are constantly being thrown at us. And they're telling us how we're doing, what we should be scared of, even how we compare to others. And then it uses this expression: at first glance, they seem helpful. So when we first look at them, glance meaning to look, a quick look, our first impression, at first glance, this seems helpful. Numbers feel precise, meaning that they're accurate, and objective, meaning that they're factual. It is what it is. So this gives us the impression that they reflect reality. If something reflects reality, it's showing the true situation, what is actually happening. But what's interesting here, it says, well, the thing is, that might be true. Statistics, they are objective, they are precise. But as humans, we've got to bring that element into it, because we don't experience life through numbers, do we? We are not binary. We're not made up of 0 and 1s. We experience life very differently to that. We're not robotic. We've got emotions, we've got stories, and we've got personal meaning to life. And that's the importance that something has for us individually. So really this paragraph's, it's stating here that, one, we live in a world where numbers are everywhere. Initially, these numbers seem helpful. But the reality is, we as humans, we don't experience life through numbers. So the next paragraph, in certain situations, statistics are essential. If something is essential, it's absolutely necessary. And I completely agree with that. We make decisions about health, money, safety, whatever it is. Reliable data, meaning information that can be trusted, can guide us towards, can help us to move in a direction that gives us better outcomes. And I think that's an interesting point. They didn't just say data, it spoke about reliable data. And I think that's a topic for a completely other discussion. Because there's a lot of data out there that's rubbish, isn't it? It's false, it's wrong. So reliable data has its place. So then it gives us some example. If we're looking at the success rate of a medical treatment, reliable data can help. Perhaps we want to invest some money. Reliable data can help. And it allows us to make informed decisions. When we make an informed decision, we are informed about the decision we are making. It's a decision based on knowledge, based on information. So if we make an informed decision, it's not from the gut kind of thing. It's not based on theory. It's not based on just going by what we feel. It's based on knowledge. It's based on facts. It's an informed choice. We have been informed. So in these cases, really, statistics are great. It reduces uncertainty, makes things more predictable, and it helps us see beyond our limited experience, so outside what we personally know. For example, if there is a medical treatment that we've been recommended, well, we've got limited experience in that, haven't we? We don't know everything. So statistics help us outside of our limited experience, outside of what we personally know. So here we're saying, we're not saying that you shouldn't look at statistics. They certainly do have their place. And it's a fantastic thing. And a lot of statistics come from mistakes of those that have made in the past. And we can learn from that. So there are situations where statistics are definitely necessary. But then the next paragraph brings in the kind of counter argument. However, great way to introduce a new point that is contrary to the previous one. Statistics become less useful when they replace or take the place of human judgment entirely. That's the key argument in this article. Statistics are great. However, they cannot replace human judgment entirely. They can assist it. They can aid it. They can work together. But do you think we live in a world where I think it's so easy to become dependent on statistics, and our human judgment kind of gets pushed to the side, or almost sometimes thrown out the window? Because it goes on to say that as individuals, as humans, we are not averages, meaning we're not general, we're not typical results. All of us individually are unique. You and I are different. We're different from our family members. We're not just an average. We're not just a number or a statistic. We're all unique. So we might look at a statistic that says most people, blah, 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 or the majority, or the average, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't mean it's right for us, because we're unique. We're not most people. We're not an average. And then what happens then is we can rely too heavily on those numbers. If we rely too heavily on something, we depend too much on it. We rely too heavily on it. And when we do that, well, that idea of us being unique kind of gets pushed to the side again, because what we do is we ignore our instincts, our natural feelings, our reactions. We ignore our values, who we are as a person, and we ignore our personal circumstances, our personal situation. So those statistics, basically, if we rely too heavily on them, what makes us unique in the decisions that we are making? And, we have to take that into account, don't we? For example, the decisions that you and I make. Let's imagine that we wanted to invest some money. On average, it could say that most people have benefited from this investment. That's massively dependent on our situations, isn't it? Who we are, how much money we have, how much time we have. And that's where statistics can become an issue, when we rely too heavily on them, when we are dependent on them. Another problem, it goes on to say, that is that statistics can be misleading. If something misleads us, it gives us the wrong idea. To mislead, imagine that you're following someone, and they are leading the pack, perhaps on a hike, and they take you down a wrong path that doesn't take you to your destination, to where you want to be. They are misleading you. Well, statistics can be misleading. They can sometimes take us further away from our end goal. A number may be technically true, meaning that it's factually correct, but possibly deceptive. So it's technically true, meaning it's factually correct, but it could be deceiving. It could create a false impression, an incorrect understanding. And without context, without enough background information around that statistics, percentages and comparisons can exaggerate risks, make them seem bigger, more serious, or make something seem more significant, more important than it really is. Or on the flip side, it can make the risks seem menial. It's not a problem. And as a result of this, it can create anxiety, overconfidence, or even afraid, because, well, we're dealing with incomplete statistics. It's poorly explained. We're dealing with missing information. So it's true. Statistics can be misleading, can't they? So then it gives some areas of this, where this is visible in everyday life. Social media, the big one. It encourages us to measure our worth, to judge our value through numbers. Oh, I hate this so much. Followers, likes, views. It measures our worth. Can you imagine that thought? Numbers dictate how much we are worth, our value. How many views you get, how many likes you get, how many followers you've got. Well, that's how much you are worth. That's what the statistics say. But these statistics often fail to capture, to fully represent what truly matters. Connection, growth, authenticity, being real, being genuine. A person with fewer followers may have a deeper impact, a stronger, more meaningful influence. I like to think with this podcast, we have not and will not grow as quickly as other podcasts. We don't get as many views as others, but I would hold my hand on my heart and say that I do believe that we got quite a close connection with the followers, with the viewers, with you guys. And I feel this might be a little bit, I don't know if I'm the one that can say this, but I feel that's because we've built a deeper connection through time, through being genuine. So you might have someone that's got impressive numbers where that is not fulfilled. They might even feel unfulfilled. They're not satisfied. They're not happy. So the thing is here that statistics can distort our perception of success. To distort is to change something in a way that it no longer reflects reality or the true situation. And our perception of success is how we see it. Our perception is how we understand it. Imagine that. Statistics, if we were to truly just rely on them, well, then numbers become our worth, our value. So then it ties it all together. Ultimately, statistics should serve us, not control us. Love that point. They are powerful tools for understanding the world. Very true. But they cannot define, to decide, to determine what matters in our lives. So it goes on to say that we need both logic and intuition. Logic is reasoning, and intuition is that natural feeling that often guides many decisions that we make in life. By combining that data, those statistics, with personal reflection, thinking deeply about your own thoughts, what you think, we can make decisions that are not only rational. Again, if something is rational, it's based on logic, reason, but it's also meaningful, important, and valuable, which sometimes statistics and numbers remove. They remove the meaning, they remove the value. In the end, we're not talking about just rejecting statistics here. Just use them wisely, in a smart and careful way. They cannot completely remove human thinking. Because if we do that, then there's a real problem, isn't there? So I think it's quite an interesting thing to go by, an interesting thought. There's certain situations where statistics really do matter. And I was thinking of work, on a career. The reality is, if you're selling something, statistics are factual, aren't they? How many have you sold? How many have you not sold? You can't ignore that, even if you just feel like you're good about it. Statistics are what make money. But it's so easy right now to just rely on numbers. I do it so much, or only with this podcast actually. Oh, so like the views are down at the moment, and I look at it and I look at the numbers and I'm trying to work out, well, why are they down? I'm doing the same thing as I did before. I'm trying to mix it up. It don't really matter. It is what it is. And perhaps you got that, where you're trying to create something on YouTube, you're trying to create something on social media, you're trying to sell a book, you're trying to, I don't know, get something out there. The statistics aren't indicative, or they do not guarantee a connection. There are so many channels out there, there's so many books where they might get the views, the statistics might say that they're amazing, but there's no connection. And ultimately, that, as humans, is the thing that we cannot lose, is it? As particularly as we grow and move into this really technological world, we've still, no matter what, got to have that connection with each other, even if it is through the internet, even if it is traveling the world through YouTube. We got to have that connection, and that's something that statistics will never know. That's something that they cannot tell us. I don't know if I'm making sense really, but I just thought it's an interesting topic, that we cannot base all of our success on statistics. If I did that with this podcast, I'd get pretty down, I think. Maybe you have it on Instagram. You don't get as many likes as your mate or your family member. Oh, you thought, oh, that picture's wicked. I love sharing pictures of my trip. And it just doesn't get as many likes as you thought. Who cares? Don't let the statistics dictate how you feel. You like it? You're proud of it? That is really what matters. But then again, certain areas where statistics are important. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you believe that there's got to be balance, or are you just a more numbers focused person? Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So I hope you've had a good week wherever you are. I hope you've had some time to rest and relax over the last week. We had lovely weather here on Wednesday. It got to like 22 degrees. Actually, in my car, it got to 25 degrees. Beginning of April, 25 degrees in England. We've gone back to normality now. It's about 12 degrees outside. It's pretty chilly. It's nice. It's a nice day. I've got to talk about the weather. I've got to give you weather updates. But as always, really appreciate your support of the podcast. I appreciate all of your comments. Please, if you haven't done so already, feel free to introduce yourself, say hello in the comments. And if you're a regular viewer, don't stop commenting. Please don't stop liking. It really helps me out. So thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Spotify, or listening, I do not take it for granted. I appreciate every single one of you. Keep it up, guys. Have a great week. Listen to this podcast once, twice, thrice, if you must, and just enjoy it. Don't stress. You've got this. All right. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Have a good one, guys.